Texas picks up a win before Red River Week, which sets us all up for disappointment again. Russell Wilson and Broncos country are doing everything but riding. And is there anyone good in college football? All this and more coming up next on College Crossfire.
You still suck, man. He's coming back. It's 2021. He's better than that now. He's better than that. He's not going to care, but you say that.
What's the mythic thing you get kicked?
Money, whatever. No, that is a great answer. How dare you? Oh, man.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to College Crossfire, the best collegiate sports debate show in the world. I'm your host, Tommy Yarrish. Well, we can all boo me, but this is who we're really booing this week. Come on, boo. It's Oklahoma Hate Week, ladies and gentlemen. We are excited to be back after being forced to miss last week in celebration of the Kansas Jayhawks moving to 5-0. That and the mics in the studio weren't working, but we'll take the latter in advance. We're back tonight, and we've got a great crew. We'll start on first base. Our sole returner from what was supposed to be the show last week, making his TSTV and Crossfire debut. Please give him a warm welcome. It's Rohan Rumalla. Rohan, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Looks like the crowd is happy for you to be here as well. Next to him, still wallowing in the Texans' loss to the Bears and his loss on College Crossfire earlier this season, it's everyone's favorite, Ryan Swantkowski. Good to have you back, man. How's it going?
It's going, Tommy. Thanks for letting me be here.
I told him about the intro pre-show, and this is exactly what you expected.
Yeah, there you go.
And last but certainly not least, my personal favorite contestant and future College Game Day booking agent. We know him as Jay Baller around these parts, but the U.S. government knows him as Justin Goosman. Goose, welcome back, my friend.
I appreciate it to be back. You know, last time we took an L, but tonight we bounced back.
Okay.
I think so.
Jay Baller is also a rapper. Let's not waste any time, folks. We've got an all-star crew. Thank you to all three of you guys for being here. Let's get right into this. Texas came back to Austin this week following a 38-35 overtime loss to Texas Tech and responded with a 38-20 victory over West Virginia. The Longhorns won their first game in Big 12 play on the heels of a 28-0 start and solid play all around throughout four quarters. Contestants, when you look at how the Longhorns played this past week versus 2 weeks prior against Texas Tech, what would you say are the major differences? Rohan, we'll start with you.
For me, Tommy, it was all about the intensity of the defense. On 2 weeks ago against Texas Tech, it seemed like, especially on third and fourth down, it felt like the blitz wasn't getting there, the coverage was spotty, we would let up big chunk plays on 4th and 6, 3rd and 8. This week, maybe it was the return of Overshone for the entire game, but the intensity was there. We were chasing JT Daniels around, overall making his life miserable, and we got stops when we needed them.
As you remember in that Texas Tech game, 6 for 8 were the Red Raiders on 4th down. Certainly not a number you want as the Longhorns defense. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I would say the two things, the tempo, momentum, and then utilizing your star players. So, look, you go back to the Tech game, converted 6 of 8 4th downs, and UT had more drives of 5 plays or less than they did more of. Those are complete game changers in both momentum and tempo. Then you move over to against West Virginia, and we had way more. We only had 3 drives of 5 plays or less, and they only had 3 4th down conversions, and 2 of those were already basically in garbage time. So you look at those, and those are big game changers in both time of possession and just overall momentum. And then utilizing your stars, 6 combined touchdowns between Worthy, Bijan, and Jatavion Sanders against West Virginia, and against Tech, they were barely utilized like that. So those are my 2 big things moving forward.
Really like those early stats that you mentioned there. Very interesting to compare and contrast what that was like within the 2 games. Justin, close us out.
Yeah, I think what Texas did a good job of here against West Virginia was stopping the run. Against Texas Tech, they allowed about 140 yards on the ground and couldn't bring down the quarterback. But this week, that all changed. They only held a Mountaineer rushing attack that normally gets over 200 yards a game down to just 61. And what they also did a good job of was bringing JT Daniels down when they got pressure in the backfield. All around, it was a great performance from the Texas defense. And I think the rushing attack, or our defense against the Mountaineer rushing attack, was really what solidified that win.
Texas, the 44th ranked run defense going into this week against Oklahoma. Ryan, I really liked your stats there in that answer, so you're going to get the 3 on this one. Justin will back you up with 2, and Rohan closes us out with the 1. A lot of room to go. Let's head to our second question. Now the Longhorns are 1-1 in Big 12 play. The Cotton Bowl is next on the horizon. Texas heads to Dallas looking to avenge an embarrassing loss from a season ago where they blew a 21-point lead to Oklahoma and were just thrown off for the rest of the season mentally afterwards. The X factor last year was no doubt Caleb Williams, who replaced Spencer Rattler early for Oklahoma and cemented his legacy with a remarkable comeback performance heading into this game. Fellas, heading into this game, who will be the X factor this time around?
Actually, instead of a who, I'm going to go with a what, and I'm going to go with mid-game and halftime adjustments. Last year, you saw Rattler get really flustered, was really playing a bad game, and then you saw Caleb Williams come into the game and just turn things upside down for Texas completely. They didn't probably have a lot of film on him moving into the game, and we're not expecting him to play. And then, as we all know the result of that game. That did not turn out well for Texas fans. So I would say those are the two big things. And yeah, I mean, if you don't do that, maybe the answer is Quinn, but I mean, Quinn doesn't win the game unless you make adjustments at halftime and during the game as well. So
certainly, we've seen this Texas team struggle with making those second half adjustments and trying to finish off games. Goose?
You know, Ryan gave you a what, but I'm going to actually answer the question and give you a who. Who else could the X factor be than throw up the X?
That was a slight diss.
all good.
Hey, I'm just here to answer the questions.
All good.
Anyway, Xavier Worthy, throw up the X. Who else could it be for the X factor? This year, he's struggled with some drops early on this season. I think Xavier Worthy is the key to this game. If he can get down deep down the field, obviously it's going to matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Quinn or whether it's Hudson. But if Xavier Worthy can get open and beat that Oklahoma defense deep down the field, that's really going to stretch them out, open up the running game for Bijan and Roshan. And that's who I think the X factor is.
Yeah, certainly, and it fits into the name, Xavier Worthy, as the X factor. He had over 200 yards through the air on 9 receptions and 2 touchdowns last year. Rohan?
I think most would say Quinn here, although these guys didn't, but I'm going to go on a different route and say Bert Auburn, the kicker. He's looked pretty good this far, pretty poised. He did miss that chip shot against Alabama. That's exactly what I'm scared about when he needs to step it up. Can he? This is not quite a hostile environment at the Cotton Bowl, but it's definitely not a friendly one either. And in a rivalry game, everything is shifted. We've seen lots of one-possession games in this rivalry recently. It might come down to his right leg, just like it did for Dicker the kicker in 2018, and that's why he's my X factor.
I'm a big fan of special teams, so Rohan, you're going to be getting the 3 here. Ryan, I liked your concept on the answer that you'll be getting the 2. Justin closes us out with the 1. Last question before we close out the first segment. It's the question that'll probably have some of you questioning why you said this in a week's time, guys. What's your score prediction for Texas against Oklahoma? Justin starts off.
I got Texas winning a 38-30 ball game. When you look on paper, Texas definitely has the better roster, and with Dylan Gabriel going down this last week for Oklahoma, we still don't know if he's going to play. I think Texas is the better team, but Red River rivalry, it's always going to be close. I think Texas ends up being able to run the ball late in the fourth quarter, push the game out of reach, and that's why I think Texas comes up with the win.
Whenever you have rivalry games like Red River, it really seems like all the talent, all the rankings just fly out the window coming into each one of these games. Oklahoma could be the #1 team in the country, and Texas, unranked, could still stand a good chance, as would any other rival going into that stadium. Good pick, Rohan?
Like I said earlier, I think it comes down to Bert's right leg, and I'm going to say 34-31 Texas. Texas has quite the habit of playing down to their competition, and even though I think right now we are the more talented team, this is a rivalry game. I think OU has a lot to work for here. They are definitely going to be very angry after the last 2 losses. They're going to come out hard and strong, but ultimately I think talent prevails. I think Quinn drives us down the field with a minute to go, and Bert cashes it in. That's my prediction, 34-31.
So 2 predictions there. First prediction would be that Quinn Ewers starts at quarterback for Texas, or comes into the game at some point.
That's what I'm
for
assuming.
Texas, and then Bert Auburn comes in with a Dicker the kicker sort of legendary moment to close the game out. All right, Ryan, we got 2 picks for Texas so far. Are you staying on the burnt orange wagon, or are you maybe looking up to Norman?
I'm going to stick with the Texas pick here. I'm going to go 42-30, Longhorns victory, a classic, somewhat high-scoring Red River showdown going on. And the past 2 games, you've seen OU's defense really, really struggle, especially against the run. They've given up over 1,200 total yards in the past 2 games combined. 7.5 yards per carry, Tommy. 7.5 yards per carry. That is an absurd number, no matter who you're playing against. You look offensively, like you said, Dylan Gabriel is still a question mark. He took a big late hit on a slide. Who knows if he's going to play? Maybe it will be General Booty. Who knows? Maybe it will be Bevel. So that's a big concern for them. For Texas, offensively, you're getting Quinn back most likely, and defensively had a big bounce back win against Virginia Tech, holding them to 20 points. So I see Texas 42-30.
So we got 3 Texas picks. Folks, remember this segment. We're going to keep this around. Come back in a week and see if these guys have made a fool of themselves or if they look like sports experts. Based on your 3 responses, Rohan, I think yours is the most reasonable. We've seen these games go down to the wire recently. Oklahoma's won the last 4. If this is the year where Texas wants to break that streak, it's definitely the year considering how banged up Oklahoma is, but I still think it'll be pretty close. So you get the 3 on this one. Goose, I like your prediction second best, so you'll get the 2. Ryan, I think yours just a little too far-fetched. I think 12 is a little bit too much of a margin. Obviously, Texas fans would be ecstatic if it was that big of a win. They'd obviously want more points. I just don't see Texas holding on to a 12-point lead in this one. So that's going to close out our first round. 3 questions in. We've got a good battle on our hands. Rohan, the newcomer, leading the way early with 7 points. Right behind him is Ryan with 6. And in third is Justin with 5. Still a lot of time left to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on College Crossfire. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Before we start, Rohan is our leader with 7 points, and as it is Oklahoma Hate Week, we have our handy-dandy throwing jersey here. Rohan, I'll let you toss this out into the crowd. Yeah, we don't like Oklahoma around these parts. As I mentioned, what are you booing for? If you're booing, you need to transfer. Jumping out in front with 7 points is Rohan heading into the second set of questions. Right behind him is Ryan with 6, and rounding out the top 3 is Justin with 5. Fellas, let's hop right back into this. We're going to take a quick glimpse at the Big 12 standings 2 games into the season. Just like everybody expected, at the top, sitting at 2-0 apiece, Kansas and Kansas State. Like I said, just like we all expected, right?
Of course.
It's been a wild start to the year so far, and that's putting it nicely. So, keeping in mind all that's happened up to now, who's the favorite to win the Big 12? Justin, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think they are the best and most talented team in the Big 12, and I think they are extremely well coached. Mike Gundy has rebuilt that program. You know, they used to be extremely successful back in the Brandon Weeden days. Spencer Sanders is playing great football right now, and I think Oklahoma State has the best chance out of anybody to continue their momentum after a big win against Baylor last week. My pick would be Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State certainly one of the more consistent teams, I would think, around the country. Mike Gundy has done a phenomenal job over there. Spencer Sanders playing in what seems like his 18th year over at Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are a veteran program. Rohan, what are your thoughts?
As much as I do like what Mike Gundy's doing over there at Oklahoma State, I still fear Spencer Sanders in his like a millionth year there. I still don't think he's a very good quarterback. So I'm going to have to go with the Longhorns here. We had a rough loss. The Longhorns had a rough loss a couple weeks ago to Tech, but we bounced back last week against West Virginia, and I feel like that will continue this week at the Cotton Bowl, as we've all discussed. And after that, I think Quinn's really going to get into his groove. I don't think anyone can stop Bijan out of the Big 12 defenses, and the defense continues to mature every week. Stark's got a great program on the rise, and I feel like the Texas Longhorns will capture their first Big 12 title since 2009.
Wow. So a bold prediction. Camera one, remember that. We'll pull that back up later at the end of the season, see if you're right. I know Texas fans certainly hope you are. Ryan?
Yeah, so you got Kansas and TCU who are the 2 undefeated left in the Big 12. I'm not going to go with either of those, and I'm going to agree with Goose here. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State Cowboys for 2 big reasons. First reason, they're scoring over 47 points per game on average this season, and second reason is Mike Gundy. Like Goose said, Mike Gundy's a big part of that, but he also mentioned that they are kind of rebuilt. They haven't rebuilt anything. He's made 16 straight bowl games. I wouldn't call that in any form of rebuild. That's just consistency of always being good. So Gundy has proven to be very experienced, and he's very knowledgeable about the Big 12 atmosphere. And you got Spencer Sanders, who's putting up phenomenal numbers and a great win up Baylor, like he said. So I see Oklahoma State taking it.
All right, Ryan, I like your reasoning there, and consistency is what Oklahoma State is all about. So you'll get the 3 here. Justin, follow us up with the 2. Rohan closes us out with the 1. That thing makes things a lot more interesting. Let's head into the second question. Last night, Aaron Judge finally hit his 60-second home run, meaning we don't have to watch ESPN split screens anymore when college football starts on Saturdays. And it also means we're one step closer to the MLB playoffs. The brackets have been set, and the fun starts on October 7th, just a couple of days away, guys. Who is your dark horse team for this baseball postseason. Ryan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Tommy. And I've got the St. Louis Cardinals here on my dark horse team here. I believe they're the 3 seed. I didn't want to go with the wild card team. I think the Cardinals have the total ability to go in and win the World Series this year. You look at guys like Adam Wainwright, you look at guys like Yadier Molina, and others that are just complete veterans of the game that have so much playoff experience and baseball experience in general. And they're going up against the Phillies in the first round, who haven't made the playoffs since 2011. And then you look at the rest of the roster hitting. You got Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, who led the NL in batting average this year. I mean, they have both sides. They traded for Jose Quintana and Jordan Montgomery at the trade deadline. Loaded that pitching, loaded with talent, loaded with experience. I got the Cardinals.
Experience certainly comes to fruition in the playoffs. St. Louis has all of that and more. Rohan, your thoughts?
I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres, who I think are the most talented out of the wild card teams. They didn't put up the best record this year. They did miss Tatis Jr., who's arguably a top 5 player in the league. They'll miss his presence. They were definitely overshadowed by the Dodgers, but I feel they have the talent to make a huge run. You have MVP candidate, my pick for NL MVP, Manny Machado. Cronenworth's great. Of course, Juan Soto, who they traded for at the deadline, who's probably consensus top 5 player in the league. In the pitching staff, you got 3 proven arms in Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, and Mike Clevenger, who I really think can put together a great stretch this postseason. And in the back of the bullpen, you have Josh Hader, another top 5 reliever in the game. They have all the pieces, and I feel like they will make a deep run this postseason.
Oh, the bullpen, arguably the most important aspect when it comes to playoff baseball. They've certainly got a solid 3-man rotation. Justin, last one.
You know, you bring up the bullpen being an extremely important aspect, and I don't disagree, but my pick would be the Toronto Blue Jays because they have the hottest offense in baseball through the last couple months. September on down, they are the best team when it comes to hitting the ball. And if we know anything about baseball, it's about getting hot at the right time, and that can carry you through all the way to the World Series. They have a first-round matchup against the Mariners where they will be at home. I really like the Toronto Blue Jays going forward. They don't have the best defense, but I think that offense and getting hot at the right time could really push them for a deep playoff run this year.
All right, so Justin heads up across the border to the 6 to pick the Blue Jays. Really good answers across the board, guys. Rohan, you'll be getting the 3 here. I like bullpens a lot when it comes to playoff baseball. I think the Padres will certainly have the upper hand there. Ryan, you'll be right behind him with the 2. Justin with the 1. Final question for this trifecta. We've got a great 4 weeks of NFL football under our belts with a lot to take away from it. The Eagles, Chiefs, and Bills look like the 3 teams to beat right now. The Giants might be good again, and obviously a lot more. That being said, who has been the biggest disappointment to you guys to start out the year? Rohan, we'll start with you.
Give me the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think anyone necessarily pegged them as a title favorite this year, but with the accusation of Matt Ryan, who is a proven veteran QB, if nothing else, who's won a ton of games at the NFL level, I think him replacing Carson Wentz really made a lot of people think that the Colts were going to be the AFC South's by far best team. Instead, he's looked pretty terrible. They did beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, but other than that, they struggled against a terrible Texas team. Sorry, Ryan. Texans team.
I'll take it.
Jonathan Taylor, who was incredible last year, did not look like himself. And a defense that was expected to be incredible has just been average. No one expected them to be 1-3-1. At this point, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking the AFC South. Although I will say the Colts, in that division, they still have a good chance to rebound and build from the losses they've had and really still put together a great season.
Yes, that's certainly a good choice. And you think through the first 4 weeks last year, Jonathan Taylor's emergence really didn't come until after those first 4 games. So maybe the Colts are just going to be a late riser, but certainly throughout these first 4 games, definitely a good choice. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos here, like you said, and you mentioned them in your intro. You know, the saying now, let's ride. The only thing they're doing is not riding whatsoever. Offensively, 3-and-outs are just coming out of plethora. Russell Wilson, their $245 million quarterback, can't seem to really move the ball down the field at all. New head coach from the Green Bay Packers, Nathaniel Hackett, cannot run the clock or manage the clock to save his life, and they're scoring like 10 points a game. It's rough out there. They just lost running back Javonte Williams for the season. Now they got Melvin Gordon, who's fumbled 4 times already. I mean, it's just a complete, I don't even know, madhouse out there in Denver. It's just not going well, and they had big expectations from me, and I believe the NFL community going into the season. So that's my biggest upset.
Yeah, certainly. Broncos country is not riding right now. Russell Wilson still has a lot to prove with that big contract that he got over the summer. Justin?
Mine would have to be the LA Rams. Coming off of the Super Bowl last season, everybody thought that the Rams were still going to be at the top of the NFC West, but that just hasn't happened. Matthew Stafford looks like he's still hungover off of that Super Bowl celebration. The Rams don't look like the same team. They're not getting the same pressure on defense, and their running game is abysmal. Cam Akers is not doing anything for that offense, and neither is their other running back. He gets a lot of the reps, but Cam Akers really hasn't done much. The Rams are really struggling. I think they're the most disappointing team, especially when you come off of a Super Bowl win like that.
Yeah, certainly. And such a big part of that Super Bowl run last year was Cooper Kupp, and it seems like Matthew Stafford only wants to throw to Cooper Kupp. You had a really talented guy in Allen Robinson out there, too. Just isn't getting the ball, kind of like the treatment that he got in Chicago. Trust me, I would know. Really good answers there, guys. Ryan, you'll be getting the 3 on this one for the disappointing Broncos. Rohan, you'll be getting the 2. Justin closes us out with the 1. Whole new ball game now, folks. We're 6 questions in. 3 to go. It's still wide open, obviously. We all know what comes next, but leading the way, we've got a new leader, Ryan, out in front with 14 points in close pursuit. The rookie, Rohan, with 13, and rounding us out is Justin with 9. Throw all of that, ball it up, throw it out the window. We've got one more round to go. You know what that means. Rapid fire is coming up next on College Crossfire. It's time for the last 3 questions of the night for us here on College Crossfire, and you know what that means. It's the rapid fire round, where the points are double, so it's anyone's game. If you're new to the show, Rapid Fire is our 3rd and final segment, where our contestants will have to answer 3 questions, just like they have in the past 2 rounds, but this time they have absolutely no idea what I'm going to be asking. Everything is off the dome. Guys, they say defense wins championships. That's not true whatsoever. Rapid Fire wins championships. Let's find out who tonight's champion will be. Here we go. Starting us off. Last week, the Vikings and Saints played a game in London, which is part of a series the NFL has put together of games played at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Packers play the Giants there next week. With that in mind, where would you want to see an NFL game be played internationally in the future? Guys, you can start, whoever wants to.
I got you one, Tommy. I want Reykjavik, Iceland. Imagine the views. You set up a football stadium in Reykjavik? It'd be cold, I understand. But we have games in Green Bay. We could make it happen. Let's go to Iceland.
Reykjavik. Reykjavik. It sounds like the creation where rakes came about over there in Iceland. So, I mean, the crowd likes it, so we'll go with that. Guys?
Go ahead.
I'll go Barcelona, Spain. Spain is known for having just overall one of the most rowdy crowds in the other type of football, but I think it could duplicate in an NFL setting as well. Like, just imagine the Packers and the Giants. I don't think anyone really wants to watch the Giants, but maybe another better team.
Hey, they're 3-1.
That's true, the worst 3-1 team in history. But at the FC Barcelona Stadium, give all the fans a couple of drinks, let them enjoy American football for the first time. I think it'd be a great environment, great weather in Spain, and I think they'd really enjoy it and be a fun time for everyone.
Yeah, European crowds in soccer over on that front certainly are enjoyable. Ryan?
I'm going to go here with Ireland. And can you just imagine the fans in Ireland? They're pre-gaming at pubs and stuff. I mean, just the people watching at these games would be crazy. They're just going absolutely at each other. They lose a bet, they lose the game, they're probably just going at each other and stuff. So I think Ireland would be a great environment to have a professional football game because, I mean, who doesn't love, as an adult probably, a good drink and a good football game. So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So 3 solid answers. Rohan, you're going to be getting the 6 here. Remember, it's double points. You're getting the 6. I like Spain a lot. It's a great answer. Justin, right behind him with Rake Town, coming in with the 4-pointer. That's what I'm going to call it. Reykjavik, did I get that right? We'll go with that. And then Ryan closes us out with the 2. Hey, we still got Reykjavik points. Don't be booing me. That's the most recognition Reykjavik has ever gotten in Iceland. We've seen a lot. This question is the one I was telling you guys about. This is going to be great. We've seen a lot of great names come through the sporting world in years past, most notably recently when Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi had to face off against Aaron Rodgers, and after the New England Patriots' other 2 quarterbacks went down with an injury. Guys, this is a loaded question, but there's plenty of options to choose from. Who has the best name in sports?
Give me General Booty. I think that's just for obvious reasons. I don't really know what more I should say about it, but I think it just sounds super cool. And, it sounds like the name of a guy you would want to lead your team because obviously he knows how to play football. He's, a soldier, and he knows how to get women. So that's what I would say about General Beatty.
I guess that's the three qualities you need to be good at football. The former Allen High School quarterback, now at Oklahoma. And picture this, folks. 5 years ago today, you're looking at me straight in the face, and I tell you, in 2022, General Booty could be the starting quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners going into Red River Week against Texas. And both teams are unranked, by the way. Would you have believed me? I certainly wouldn't. I would have been sent to an insane asylum. All right, 2 answers left. Guys, what do you think?
I gotta go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. How cool is that name? I mean, anytime you make a good play, you can say, "Are you drinking the Kool-Aid?"
Yeah.
Hey,
Give him
hold
that.
on.
Yeah, that was bad,
pretty
man.
rough. That was pretty bad.
Regardless, Kool-Aid McKinstry has the best name in sports.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, besides drawing pass interference penalties in Week 2 against Texas, also has an NIL deal with Kool-Aid, which is actually pretty cool to see. One of the first real interesting NIL deals that we saw on the market. Ryan, close us out.
Initially, I was going to go with Dakotas Crawford, but I think after seeing what I saw last night in the NBA, I think G League, his last name is Ho You Fat, and please do not cancel me for that. That is his actual last name. Please do not cancel me for that. But I mean, Ho You Fat? Like, what is that? See, I saw that and I thought my phone was glitching. I'm like, what is going on here? So that would be my answer. Just. Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about this before this segment started. We don't tell our panelists anything, so all I told them before this was FCC guidelines, because it is this man's legal name, permit us to say Steve Ho You Fat live on the airways. I can't believe it. You probably can't believe it. They can't believe it. Our crowd can't believe it. But his name is literally Steve Ho You Fat. I would have never guessed in a million years. That only second to General Booty, maybe in that case, would be names that I would never imagine be created. But I certainly will be looking to order a Steve Ho You Fat jersey. That would look great on the wall. For obvious reasons, Ryan, you're getting the 6 points here for that one. Justin, you'll follow up with the 4. Rohan closes us out with the 2. All right, guys, final question here. This is a lot more tame compared to last one. We started low, went high, and then we're going back down a little bit again. Actually, all our questions are good. All right, final question. There are a lot of great traditions in college football, and we're going to make one up here for Red River. Let's get creative. The winner obviously gets the golden hat, but our new tradition is going to add that the winning team also gets to pick the opposing team's punishment after the loss. It can be either team, so think Texas or OU loses this game. Within legal and ethical boundaries, let's not be crazy, what sort of punishment would you give the losing team after Red River?
I would force Will Venables to ride Bevo.
Brent Venables, you mean?
Brent Venables, sorry. Yes, Brent Venables. I think that would be super humiliating for him. There'd be a sort of poetic justice there that he would have to ride out of the stadium with on the back of a mascot that just humiliated his team.
You know what? You make a good point there, because I saw a video on Twitter a couple weeks ago when I think somebody literally rode a Longhorn down 6th Street, and that was just pandemonium for everyone. But people were he was offering rides for people to ride his Longhorn down the street. I certainly would definitely be very interesting to see Brent Venables try and ride off into the sunset or into the Cotton Bowl Tunnel on Bevo's back. Guys?
Yeah, I would say the losing coach, or you could pick a player if you would like, has to get the opposing team's logo tattooed wherever they would like on their body. Probably the rear end, I would imagine. But if it's the horn, but if it's the horns got to be up. So yeah, I would say a tattoo. If you want to pick a player, save the coach or whatever, you got to do what you got to do. So, and then you probably got to post it on social media, say, like, yeah, that's what's up. So.
Certainly, that's taking a jump from riding Bevo, getting that on you forever. Definitely is a very interesting punishment option. Justin?
I gotta go with, you eat a dozen donuts, you drink a gallon of milk, and every player on the losing team has to run a mile after eating a dozen donuts and drinking a gallon of milk. I'm all for choosing one guy, but why would you choose one guy when you can make it the whole team? That's all I'm saying.
Wow. All right, so certainly we've got 3 very interesting options. That just sounds like torture, man. I mean, let's be real.
Sure it's ethical.
Let's be real.
Yeah, for real.
That's just torture. Wow. So like I said, a lot of great options, but as we all know, there can only be one winner. So give me a second. I'm not a math major, so let's do our calculations here. All right, we've got our winner, folks. That was a great way to close out the show. Really, especially loved our second question. I think that was definitely the best we've ever had on this show. Like I said, there's only one winner. We can only come out here with one Crossfire champion. Today's Crossfire champion is, drum roll please, making his triumphant return, Ryan Swantkowski with 26 points. Congratulations, Ryan. Samantha, we got time for FaceTime? We do. Into that camera, Ryan.
Hello, beautiful people. I appreciate you all for watching. I appreciate Tommy being a great host. I'm excited to be back here next week. Looking for win number 3 next week. Ready to go.
Suddenly, Ryan is complimentary. That'll do it. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Rohan, amazing debut. Guys, please give it up for Rohan. Fantastic work. And Justin Goosman, also known as Jay Baller, making a strong appearance as well. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us. We look forward to having hopefully both of you guys back. And Ryan guaranteed his spot on first base next week. That'll do it for us here in the TSTV studios. Before you go, make sure to come back on Friday mornings for the 1-0 Sports Show. Not this week, though. They actually recorded earlier today. So head to the YouTube channel to watch that one with Adam Ogburn, Jacob Campos, and Jason Conander. And come back on Monday night for College Press Box. We'll get a full reaction of the game against Oklahoma, good or bad. We'll see at this point. Who knows? Thank you to our live studio audience for coming out tonight and bringing... Thank you very much. Great as usual energy tonight. For our contestants, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer, Jordan Galehood, and all the other great folks at TSTV, my name is Tommy Yarrish saying good night, and we'll see you next time.